Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.
Thank you for watching Conversations with Jennylyn. Today we are in the United Kingdom and we have a beautiful young guest for you. Her name is Vivian Wall. She's a conscious cultural creator and an architectural student born in Trinidad and Tobago, but is currently living and going to school in the UK. Vivian, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. It's late in England, right?
Yeah, it is. It's actually coming up to 6 now. So you said I'm 8 hours ahead of you.
Well, I'm so grateful to you that you're taking time out of your busy evening to share Vivian with us. And welcome to Conversations with Jennylyn.
Thank you so much.
I know your mother well, and she's always sharing all these wonderful things you've been doing, either in person or on Facebook. And I thought, why don't I invite Vivian on the show? Because she is someone who can inspire other young people. And my goal for doing this show is to make a difference in people's lives, even if it is through a simple conversation as we are having now. So today, I just welcome you and ask you, first question, what drives you?
What drives me? Oh, that's such a broad question though, because I can answer as to what drives me in terms of my studies or what drives me in terms of my aspirations.
What drives you in terms of your determination and all of the things you've accomplished already? Because my viewers don't know what they are. So maybe what we should do is have you share what you've been doing, and then we can
Okay. Alrighty. Well, since leaving Trinidad, I came to the UK to study architecture, as Jenny said. And since doing that, I've entered a bunch of different competitions, and I even got the opportunity to speak at a few events before I left Trinidad. And really, when I looked at Trinidad and Tobago, I thought that my dear people deserve better because I'm a proud patriot. And my mom always told me to leave the world a better place than you met it. So I guess when I was about 15, I started exploring how can I do that with my interests. And what really drives me is this saying of leaving the world a better place than you met it. And I looked at how can I make art, science, and social motivations work for me. And I tripped and landed in architecture. And it was a soft landing, and I'm really glad to be where I am. So I just think anytime you have the motivation of improving someone else's life or something beyond yourself, everything else falls into place.
I agree with you. And I know that a lot of young people start, they have a dream and they begin to pursue it. And then they meet obstacles or walls, like your last name. And they turn back, they become discouraged and they think I can't do this, and they stop. I bet you have met walls in your life. And clearly when you've encountered them, you didn't turn back. I trust they motivated you, otherwise you wouldn't be here today doing what you're doing, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you're a young person and you encounter difficulties, nobody says that you don't want to give up, Like I had moments when I faced difficulties, whatever they were here, I just suddenly felt this very undeserving. And I felt as though I didn't deserve to be where I am because of all the challenges I was facing. It doesn't make sense, but at times I'd look around and think, why isn't everyone who has a better grounding than me in life, why can't they just be here? Why am I here? Like, what even makes me eligible to be amongst these people? And I guess that was one of the biggest things I faced, because whether it was financial difficulties or just my own insecurities, things like that wanted me to tuck my tail between my legs and run back to Trinidad,
But you have a very, your mother is a very grounded person.
Yeah,
She's a friend of mine. I know her very well. And I know any daughter or son of a mother like that will always do well because they wouldn't allow you just to give up. Do you think that some young people who aren't able to accomplish their goals or their dreams could be because they lack that type of encouragement? What do you think?
I think everyone needs a role model. You don't know. I feel like people are either working towards something or they're trying to improve something and get whatever it is that they were once lacking. And very often, when people lack a role model, they have to become the very first, be it in their family, be it in their friendship group. And I was truly blessed to have the mother that I do. And I would love to be like her, but she always encourages me, no, Vivian, be like you, which is like even better because it makes me proud of who I am. And I think the more that anyone can see themselves as a role model, you never know who it is that you're going to uplift, inspire. So, yeah.
Well, I love that answer. And I'm hoping somebody watching this, even if they lack that parental guidance and support, they can find it in someone else because no man is an island. And we always
Definitely
do
not.
better when we have support.
I think the current situation shows us that we're a lot more connected than we once thought, not so.
Exactly. So tell us some of what you've accomplished since you've been living in England. How long have you been in England?
So I moved to England in 2018. Since coming there, in addition to just the ability to get jobs to support myself to get by, because being a student is definitely, it takes a financial toll on you. But I also managed to apply for bursaries to help with that. So I needed some help with my architectural education because international student fees are a lot higher than local ones. So I was looking around and I saw that the Royal Institute of British Architects were offering bursaries to students who needed it. So I applied, didn't think much of it. And one summer, I was door-to-door fundraising for Greenpeace, actually, as my job to cover my behind for the summer. And we were on our lunch break. And then I got this email saying, oh, Vivian, congratulations, you were chosen for the bursary. And I was like one of 4 people that got my type of bursary in the entire United Kingdom. So not just England, that's England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland. So I was just like, oh my gosh, that's one thing. I guess my second biggest accomplishment came this year when my teachers nominated me for the Women in Property National Student Awards.
Now, wow, congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, architecture is a very male-dominated field. It's not particularly diverse. Yeah, so it's not a particularly diverse field. And I was a very enthusiastic student, proud waving my Trinidadian flag. And I suppose I made an impact on my teachers when I was in first year, and they chose me. And then after going on to that, I won the competition for my branch. So I was the Southeast Regional Awards. So I won that and then moved on to the finals. And my final interview was actually just last week, Wednesday. And from that, one person will be chosen from the entire United Kingdom to be the winner for the entire awards.
And I already know that's going to be you. Oh. You make sure you reach out to let me know because I'm hanging on here waiting to hear the good news.
I could hope so, but it really is just inspiring to see a lot of young women coming up in a very male-dominated field. And not just young women, just young, brilliant women on top of that too. So the entire process, no matter the outcome, has been amazing.
Well, I think that you are making Trinidad proud without a doubt.
I hope so.
So when you have gotten your architectural degree, what are your plans?
So initially, okay, so my big plan, here, I'll lay it all out for you. I would love to have businesses in the United Kingdom, Spain, and the Caribbean. So not just Trinidad, the entire Caribbean. And initially, I wanted to do architecture to improve the infrastructure of Port of Spain. But since studying, I found out how capital cities negatively impact small economies because it leaves everyone else in rural communities out and there's one economic center. So what I would love to do is create more smaller economic centers around Trinidad and Tobago where people in various towns can come and sell their produce or just make a living for themselves. I don't want it to be centralized to Port of Spain at all. So through the built environment, that's what I intend to do.
And you will do it. I don't have a doubt.
Yeah, where there's a will, there's a way, man. And there's so many other inspiring people that I'm in contact with that can probably help me accomplish that dream and goal.
So Vivian, before you moved to England, had you ever gone there?
Yes, I had. So I've been to England several times throughout my life because my dad, he's from Yorkshire. So
Oh, your
I'd
dad
come
is
back.
British. I
Yes, he is. So I'd go and see his family, and we'd come a few times, well, between the ages of 1 to 11, 5 to 11. I'd come once a year and just go primarily up north in the north part of England. I'd never really been to London. That was a bit shocking for me.
I'd say. Because everyone who goes to England, one of the first things they want to do is go see Buckingham Palace, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was in cottages spending time with sheep and nature, and I was very happy.
Well, I think at that age, a lot of times, you just sort of go with the program.
Mm.
When you're the age you said you were when you first visited. The reason I asked you that is because you've gone to England and integrated so well and winning all these competitions. I was wondering if you were familiar with the country or if this, you just cold turkey walked in and just laid down your stakes and started mowing the lawns.
I mean,
Well,
I'd love to be able to walk in and dominate like that, but I'd been a few times before, thankfully.
okay. So how long is your architectural program? When do you think you'll graduate?
So I graduate from my undergraduate degree next year, but to become a fully qualified architect, it takes 7 years. So I've got a long time. You have your part one to do is exactly, well, this only applies in England. So I have my part one to do, part two, which is master's, then part three, which would be my final qualifications. And then I can call myself an architect. For now, I'm just an aspiring architect.
If you are a British trained architect, can you go to Trinidad and work as an architect? Do they have different rules like lawyers? You have to know the law for that country. Does that same principle or protocol apply to being trained in one country and working in another?
I'm not even sure for Trinidad specifically because we don't even have a school of architecture there. So
Um,
that's another thing that I'd love to do to create more opportunities for young people to pursue architecture. But as far as I know, and I could be wrong, I don't think there are any restrictions to operating if you have British qualifications and you're working in Trinidad.
we're living in a time where there's so much unprecedented um, happenings, occurrences, things that we never imagined, like the virus. And we all grew up aware of racial prejudice, and some of that's not something new. But in today's world, everything seems like it's new, like we're starting a new normal in terms of everything that we do. Like we can't even go out now without covering up half of our faces. And,
Mm-hmm.
we have to treat other people like, keep a distance from them. And I feel like the world was already segregated in so many ways for different reasons. And now we're just like making it a law to do that. How is this new normal affecting you as a young Black woman from Trinidad and Tobago living in a predominantly white country?
I mean, if I said I don't realize it, I'd be telling a lie. It's very
Really?
different because when you're in Trinidad, people of African ethnicity, we are the majority. Then I come across here as an ethnic minority. I'm being taught predominantly by white male teachers. My employers are white. When I was door-to-door fundraising, most of the houses I would knock on, it would be someone who's white on the other side of the door. And this wouldn't necessarily be a problem if prejudice didn't exist. So at the back of your mind, you are always wondering, are they going to see me as someone approaching them as a human being, or are they just going to label me as a Black person right away? Are they just going to only see the surface and not look a little deeper? And it's a fact, especially when it is that I'm aspiring to make an impact in an industry where it's not very diverse, Like I'm even shaking thinking about it, because to walk into the room when you're somebody who's of African ethnicity doing these things, you're often an advocate without even knowing it, because you're going to be the first. You're going to be many firsts when you come from a minority and you're in a country where there are not many like you.
Do you feel that some racial prejudices that people experience could be pre-programming in their minds, like they expect it because they know it's out there? Do you think there are situations like that? Because I've seen a few situations like that, where before it even occurred, the person thinks I'm Black, I'm walking into a white environment, they are going to discriminate against me. Do you see some of that happening?
Definitely. It's the same way. I mean, stereotypes go both ways, you know.
It's
If it is
true.
that somebody has a negative stereotype of someone who's Black, you can also have a negative stereotype of someone who's white based on those previous stereotypes. It's just an ongoing circle. It will keep happening. And I have felt it. Luckily, I've not had any large experiences with negative prejudice. I've experienced a few microaggressions, and I always try to downplay it, always try to tell myself, oh, no, maybe they meant this, maybe they meant something, when sometimes I just need to acknowledge they might be teensy bit racist. But it's true, and you do brace for those experiences.
What would you say to another young person like yourself, African American, who is in a situation similar to yours, where you are, like you said, all of your classes, every place where you interact with people in terms of your education and employment, most of them are white people. What advice would you give to them?
Well,
on
as
how
an
to
Afro,
cope,
pardon?
on how to cope if they encounter that?
Well, as an Afro Trinidadian, after experiencing things like that, I look in the mirror and I have to practice telling myself I deserve to be here. Because when people who have it a lot easier than you in life, and I know I've been privileged and I've had many great experiences in ways, but everyone faces their challenges, you really question if it is that you can do this, if it is that you can move past it, if it is you can get people to relate to you when you have such a different life's experience. I think you just, as a person, as a student, anyone who's looking on, just know you deserve to be here. And no matter how anyone treats you, don't let them tell you otherwise, because you've worked for it, you know where you're going, and you don't let where you're coming from or how people perceive where you're coming from dictate what it is in store for your future.
I think that you should also tell them to take all that into consideration, keep it in the back of their minds, but also to not to go prepared with the programming that you're going to get it. Because I believe what you really think about, you invite into your life if you give enough energy to it. So maybe that's another thing. They should bear that in mind, and with those thoughts in mind and those facts in mind, even if they go out there and they encounter it, is to make sure they remember that. Because sometimes we know something and we get into a situation that causes the adrenaline to start going, and then we forget the principles, and we have that knee-jerk reaction, which doesn't always serve us. What are you planning to do while you're in England that you haven't done right now to make a difference in this particular arena?
In which particular arena? In
This
terms of
prejudice,
racial
yeah,
prejudice?
yeah, racial prejudice.
In England specifically, I think one, it's creating awareness. Education is definitely the key to massive change. So it is very hard for me to speak about what I'll do in England, because most of my life I've grown up in Trinidad, and we've just had an election and there are large racial tensions happening there, which probably shouldn't be
In
the case.
Trinidad?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Racism is everywhere, even when it shouldn't be.
But Trinidad
So,
is predominantly Black, right?
I know that, yes, definitely. So like when everything was happening and it was the heat of the moment, Black Lives Matter got massive media attention. When you're applying Black Lives Matter to a Trinidadian context, it's totally different, because the plight of Trinidadians and the plight of African Americans is not the same, since we are an ethnic majority in our country. But the issue is, some of these things have been deep-rooted through colonialism as well. And we don't talk about that. We don't talk about how there have been programmed racial tensions because of how things played out historically. When you learn about history in Trinidad, you only wait until you're about 18 doing your A levels where you get that inside knowledge. And I think if a lot more people were aware as to why these racial tensions exist, then we could start eliminating them. Then we can start healing.
Did you experience racial prejudice in Trinidad?
I don't think I have personally, thankfully, but I also know many people who have. What my experience has been in schools is different. But when it is that I go out into the working world, and a lot of my friends now, because we're in our 20s, who are entering the corporate sector, they see it. I have my friends also who are from communities that aren't particularly prestigious, deemed prestigious in Trinidad. That also comes into play where you see it.
Great answers. I'm so proud of you. So we are down to 8 minutes, and I want you to tell me what you want to share, what you want to make sure that you share with people your age, people younger than you, to motivate you, because this world is so different now. The things that your mother and I did when we were your age, we have to change those patterns now if we're going to become successful in what is in the world right now, because we don't know what's going to happen next. It feels like every time you think you've developed a new platform for how you're going to manage your life, something new is coming at you every day, every week. So from where you are now and what you have experienced, for people your age and younger, what encouraging, you've shared a lot of encouragement, you've shared a lot of motivation. What did I ask you that you think is important you leave with them?
I think what it is that we need to speak to is how to preserve your belief in self and your mental health. I think now with coronavirus, especially for a lot of students now, I've not been back to Trinidad for a year now. My mom doesn't live in Trinidad. I haven't seen her going on 2 years now. And on top of that, I know a lot of people who are stuck away from their families. You've got a lot of young people who've just come to university and they find themselves living alone. You can't go out to see anyone. You lose contact with people. I think what we need to do, and what I think I should share, is when it is that you feel yourself going down, reach out to someone, call someone, talk to someone. You may not know who. There are different hotlines you can call. There are like non-emergency numbers that you can speak to. You can reach out to someone and say how you're feeling and take a step forward to go upward. Because now during coronavirus, during all these things with racial prejudice, a lot of trauma has been happening. People need to learn how to take care of their mental health, to take care of their spiritual health, and how to grow, because it is no secret that for many people, 2020 has been incredibly difficult. And if it is difficult, that's okay. Don't feel like it's not. But know what it is you need to do to go onward and upward. And that's the last thing I'd say.
Well, thank you. That's great encouragement and inspiration. So, Vivian, you are doing this, your classes are distance learning classes now, right? You're not physically going into a school. What is that like for a young person, distance learning, especially on the level that you are studying?
I think it takes away a lot from the university experience you perceive that you would have. I'm a very social person. And when I go to university, yeah, and I love to talk on top of that. So I miss seeing my colleagues. I miss bouncing ideas off of them. I miss that interactive experience. I miss pulling ridiculous all-nighters with my course mates staying in university until it's closed, even though I didn't like it at the time. It is difficult, but you adapt.
Do you feel like the quality of education is going to be the same?
Absolutely not. I think my fees should be sliced in half because I'm not getting access. Absolutely. I do a creative course. I don't get as many hours in studio. I don't get access to the workshop as often as I once would. That's where we do laser cutting, 3D printing, work with bandsaws, everything. And on top of that, not everyone has the ideal working environment at home. And
So
university would want to provide that.
So you feel the students in today's world are they're getting, I don't want to make this sound negative, but they're not getting the quality of education that they would have gotten were they allowed to continue in the institutions of learning like we have done traditionally. Because this is global. Yeah. What you are experiencing is global. So there's no escaping it. It's what's happening everywhere. And apparently it's probably going to continue for a while, because I'm sure you are aware that a lot of countries that had opened up are now closing down again and quarantining their citizens again, because this virus is starting to show up again. So what do you think is going to happen with the education system?
There's definitely going to be some type of technological revolution, because we're going to have to up our game when it comes to computer literacy and how we use technology to our advantage for education. And I think we're going to have to create social distancing educational spaces, because it can hinder your performance being sat in the same place every day, 7 days a week.
You know, this sort of promotes a lot of depression, I think. Could you imagine the students like yourself who've left their homes and gone to England specifically for education? They're most likely not living with their families. So they're probably living in an apartment away from everyone they know and not able to socialize with other people. That has to be really, really tough. Do you think that will affect people's ability to cope with the curriculum?
Yeah, without a doubt. And also, now that I'm in tertiary education, you've got mature students, you've got students who have children. And especially when you have young children and you're at home, you can be a student some of the day, but you're a parent all of the time. And when it is that you don't have that physical building to go into, what is going to happen? For some people, it might work more in their favor. You can create more flexible hours, but it may not work for everyone.
It's a really tough time to be alive, I would say.
Yes, but
every single human. Pardon? Sorry.
I was saying, as Mummy always says, crisis means opportunity.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was going to say. It's an opportunity for us to become more creative and more skillful, because at the end of the day, I think we have a lot more ability than we credit ourselves for. And we just have to be more adaptable and find ways to cope, because we have to survive and life has to continue. So we are down to a minute. Anything else you want to say before I wrap this up? You were great.
Well, I'd like to say thank you so much to you for giving me the opportunity to share my story and a bit of what it is that I advocate for. I hope I did well. And also, I'm really happy to be a part of your mission to inspire other people, because we know now more than ever we need it. So I'm just going to take this moment to express my gratitude and thank you to my parents for making me who I am. I think you guys did great.
That is so beautiful. Vivian, you were absolutely wonderful, and you're brilliant. And I'm hoping that, I have a lot of young people that follow me. I'm hoping that somehow you can strike a chord in them if they're feeling, discouraged because of the situation. And so the key is to have someone to like a support system or person that you go to when you're feeling doubtful, when you're feeling down, when you're feeling low, because it's not a place where you do well on your own. We all need people to help us to get through the tough times and just to share life. So I'm grateful to you for your time and for sharing your grit and your drive to encourage other people. And I wish you well. I know you're going to be successful regardless of the situation. And please continue to take care of yourself and stay in touch.
Well, thank you so much. I wish you all the best with more episodes of Conversations with Jenny. And I hope everything works out in your favor for the rest of the year.
You're so awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for watching Conversations with Jennylyn. When a conversation is all you need to be inspired, and I know without a doubt, Vivian has inspired you. Vivian, stay beautiful and keep going, and I will see you next time.